This is 3Q. My name's Sarah McDonald. Well, in our society, $1 doesn't go far. You can't get a drink or a cup of coffee, and it wouldn't get you anything close to a snack. But could you buy a future for someone you've never met? Today our question is, can $1 save a life? Joining me is Tim O'Connor from UNICEF. What can $1 buy, Tim, that could possibly help?
A remarkably lot. I mean, I think, as you say, in Australia, $1 doesn't go very far at all, but there's amazing innovations that are happening around the world. UNICEF's at the forefront of a lot of these, things like Plumpy'Nut, which is this amazing peanut-style paste. There's things like oral rehydration salts to combat diarrhea, malaria nets. They make a massive difference in whether a child makes it to its 5th birthday, which, are really the crucial years for ensuring life.
Because this is really changing food aid. And what is
Absolutely.
it? It's a paste or something?
Yeah, it's sort of like a peanut paste here. Why don't you have a little try?
Okay, I'm going to pay you for this because I don't want to eat a child's.
I'll be sure to give you a receipt, of course. Yeah, so how does it taste? You want to have a try, Tony?
It tastes like that. I'm going to give you some money now because before I forget, because this is 80 cents, yeah? It's not even
This is 80 cents, yeah.
Okay.
So
what is it? It tastes like peanut butter.
Yeah, it's very much like peanut butter. It's got a lot of micronutrients in there because when a kid has severe malnutrition, they can't just have normal food. So in Somalia, we've been rolling out millions and millions of packets of this over the last 6 months or so. One packet makes a big difference, but basically a child needs 3 packets a day. Over a month, you can actually ensure the child is out of hospital and back into the community, and they need constant treatment beyond that. But I mean, it's a massive breakthrough in keeping people alive and stopping stunting, which is a huge cost to people's lives later on. If they don't grow properly, they can't work. The health implications of that and the burden on their family are really long term.
I mean, it's a strange thing because in the first world, you taste something like that and you think nuts and you think peanut allergies because they're so prevalent in our society. It's not
Absolutely,
an issue.
and it's something we don't come across really at all. We haven't had really one case of it in Somalia and Kenya and Ethiopia where this is being rolled out, and it's one of those really interesting things that I'm not quite sure, but we don't see it.
It seems it's sort of a modern day affliction of developed countries.
Yeah,
perhaps.
absolutely.
So how do you assess the need? You use this band?
Yeah, well, so this is another kind of little innovation we've got here. So basically you put this around a child's arm up to 5 years old. It tells you if it's in the green, it's all good. And as it gets closer and closer, yellow's danger area, red means that it's danger and it's time for the Plumpy'Nut. But basically what this does is it means that anyone who's got one of these can roll it out, can test whether a child under 5 years old is malnourished. So again, really simple innovation that is making a massive difference to how we tackle poverty.
It's been seen as a real magic solution for solving starvation around the world. But is it? Because as you said, a week of this is fantastic, but then there's long-term
Absolutely. I mean, this stuff is really long term. These are tools we can use, but you need a whole arsenal of those sorts of things. Keeping people alive, keeping kids alive is really important. Making sure that they're healthy is obviously really, really important to their long-term development. But kids need a lot more than just food. They need love, they need an education, they need access to ongoing health services, all those sorts of things. And that's the sort of work that UNICEF is doing right around the world.
Mm-hmm. Let's have a look at some of the vision of some of the work you are doing around the world.
Norman Gillespie, Chief Executive of UNICEF Australia. I'm here in northern Kenya, in Dadaab, in one of the camps called Ifo. And we're at a facility here which is bringing women with children up to 1 year old in to teach them about nutrition, good nutrition, and to also give them some practical help in vouchers for food to feed their children. It's a marvellous enterprise, and it's just one of the small things that are being done with the money that you in Australia have given to UNICEF and to our colleagues in Save the Children, MSF and other great national charities. We talk a lot about Plumpy'Nut, we talk a lot about therapeutic food. Well, here it is in action. We're standing in the storeroom of the district hospital at Wajir in northern Kenya, quite close to the Somalian border. This is the life-giving therapeutic food which is keeping these children alive and bringing them back from the brink, especially during this drought situation which has so made the population so desperate in this area.
That's some of UNICEF's work around the world. Tony Ma, don't you, when you see stuff like that, want to take a Plumpy'Nut to meet, when you meet with some of the mining executives and plonk it on their desk?
Look, they're not very good at sharing the wealth. They don't share it with their workforce. They don't want to share it with the taxpayer in this country. They could do a lot in the developing world, but what do? They drive hard bargains for free economic trade zones. They fight against wealth taxes and sovereign wealth funds and mining taxes. So, they've got a very poor record. They could do a lot better.
They're not helping with programs such as Plumping Up and the like, Tim?
Well, we certainly don't have many examples of it at the moment. We've got some zinc mining companies. Zinc is one of the micronutrients that kids really need to develop properly. Some of those are starting to help out. So we are seeing some progress there and some developments, but there's definitely a lot more we could do. I mean, we've got rivers of gold flowing into Australia at the moment. We need to get that back out into the communities which are delivering these rivers of gold.
Jared, why do you think it is, though, in terms of the media, seeing some of UNICEF's work, that the media tend to focus on the disasters as they're happening when you need the Plumping Nut, it's short term and it gets past malnutrition, but there's no sort of long-term follow-up?
Look, I think that there is one, you touch on a very good structural point for newspapers and news organisations, is that there was a time when they were properly funded and they had a lot of people in places where you have these, kind of disasters unravelling. And so you've got someone on, kind of in place. Now, with cutbacks, it means that you don't have foreign correspondents, for instance, in many parts of Africa and in parts of Asia as well, where you have this, where there's a heightened risk, and South America as well. And that is a bit of a problem because you've got this sort of fly in, fly out mentality where you've got someone sort of coming in for the big disaster, but you can't really cover the sort of things that you're talking about, that UNICEF is talking about, if you're not there all the time and are monitoring it and keep. So it's not often in the public gaze, and that is a problem. I think that
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things that we notice so much is that the response of the public is generated by the media. If you don't get the media response, you don't get, you aren't able to deliver things like Plumping Up to kids on the ground who need it so badly. Before the crisis in East Africa came to prominence late last year, we'd been talking about it for 6 or 7 months, but until the media got there and started to tell the story, we couldn't get that message out to the public. But if we can get that aid in earlier, that 6 months before, we don't end up with a situation where hundreds of thousands of kids are about to die. And so that's why, being able to tell this really long-term story, and I think Jared's absolutely right here, having journalists on the ground being able to tell that long-term story is so crucial to the long-term development progress we made. Because at the moment, these crises come along and they wipe out a lot of the progress that's been made in the past, and that's a huge danger.
If you have any insights on this issue, we'd love to hear them. Take a look at the Essential Vision website or use the 3Q hashtag on Twitter. That's it for 3Q. Thanks so much to our panel this week, Tim O'Connor from UNICEF, Tony Maher, the General President of the CFMEU, and Jared Noonan, Chair of Media Super. Next week, we ask, what's wrong with Australian cities? Do Australians really want a secure job? And can politics still offer a voice for the disadvantaged? I'm Sarah McDonald. Hope you can join me then. Thanks for watching.